We have seen a huge number of farming sims being released in the last 2 years, many of them trying to steal away Stardew Valley's shine. Even though Stardew Valley was released back in 2016, I think we can all agree that Stardew Valley is one of, if not the most biggest farming sim we've ever seen. And Stardew Valley has seen a lot more popularity ever since the 2020 pandemic had hit us. And now many video game companies are trying to capitalize on this success and to try and grow into the popularity ladder to be the next best farming game that there ever was. Obviously, some have seen some success whilst others have kind of just flopped. But why is there so many trying to replicate this goal? Well, this is why. There's a joy that everyone has when playing a farming sim. You get to watch your progress grow as you level up. You start to make enough money to purchase those upgrades and buildings you've always wanted. And you can play the story and get to know townfolk however you want. I'm sure many new farming sim enjoyers are looking for the next best thing to suck away their soul in their social life. With there being no long-term punishment, you can play the game however you like with no consequences. And there's nothing preventing you from wanting to play that singular farm for the next 10, 20, even 30 years if you want to. You can challenge yourself and maybe try speedrunning the game in your own style, or just sit back and relax and listen to those ambient sounds alongside your almost beautiful farm. Farming games are definitely a choice when it comes to sitting back and relaxing after a long day's work, and you can have full control of everything that happens within the game at the tips of your fingers. How you progress in the story, the people you choose to romance, even the flexibility of choosing and decorating your farm to your own style makes farming games enjoyable. But this shouldn't deter you from the fact that farming games can also be a challenge if played that way. The gratification we get for completing something that's very difficult, or even seeing how much your quality crops can sell for, gives the player a reason to strive for something better in their farm, and to give them that choice on how progression is made. Hey, take it from the Stardew Valley speedrun community. There's not just one way of making money, and hey, if money isn't your choice, there's other ways you can challenge yourself with. These styles of games have always been addictive. It's not about getting every achievement that's within the game, but it's about having a world that you can always return to and to customize to your own playstyle that makes these games so addictive. It's about getting to learn something new every time you progress further into your story, finding a new place to explore and maybe finding some new items along your way, and of course being the most successful and the most richest farmer there ever was in town. There is nothing wrong with making a mistake as well. You can always learn from your mistakes and improve yourself so you're a bit better when you're late game, or you can just start all over again with the mistakes that you've learned. Plus, I think these farming games definitely have a plus over doing real farming in real life. I don't think many people like to do the tedious work of, actually growing your crops, making sure that they're watered enough, fertilizing them, and ensuring that nothing destroys them or that they don't just randomly die on you. Farming games bring out the simplicity of what make games fun, all whilst allowing the tedious work to be put aside so you can enjoy your farming experience. There is always a pleasure that comes with this charmingly retro style animation and graphics that a lot of these games are designed as. Whether it's because it brings us back to our past and those retro games we'd always play, or that the colorful design is enticing enough for us to pick up the game. Some games are designed as a top-down view, so we almost feel godly in a way. We can design the world the way that we want to, and some are designed in a 3D perspective, so we get more of a 3D style of farming. Farming games always have a really nice combination of exploration, progress making, open world adventures, and also a storyline that makes us want to keep playing the game. We are always given a different purpose and a different goal to reach in each of these farming sims. And these farming sims will continue to grow the more set out that they are. However, farming games aren't always in the positive eye. There'll always be problems that future farming sims will encounter, the more that they want to succeed as the next best farming sim that there is. Everyone wants to be the next Stardew Valley. I'm sure most gaming companies are interested in following the same path that Stardew Valley did so then they can have their own success along the way. And making these games very similar to Stardew Valley might make you feel like you're just playing a Stardew Valley 2.0. Let's take the Nintendo Direct for example that came out back in September of 2022. Story Seasons, Fave Farm, Rune Factory 3, and Harvestella were 4 popular farming sims that were announced. And that is just from the announcements that happened back in September. There have been many farming games that have been released this year. There's My Time at Sandrock, there is Coral Island, there's even Dinkum, which is a fun Aussie turn on the farming sim that are really enjoyable games. But they all follow the same goal. You'll have a space that you get to build on, whether it's a farm or just a regular space, and become a better farmer over time with experience and more money. In saying that, there'll always be a new farming sim that is going to be released. Many are just pretty much a copy of paste of what's pretty much already been done. It's difficult to attempt a farming sim and hope for the same success if there's nothing new or different that's been brought to the table. Obviously, you could argue that Stardew Valley pretty much did the same thing by replicating what Harvest Moon had already done, but there is a lot more interest into Stardew Valley than there is in Harvest Moon, so maybe some of these gaming industries maybe put a new twist onto the farming genre instead of replicating exactly what Stardew Valley has already done. Stardew Valley has a very strong community behind it. If you've gotten to know the Stardew Valley community, you'll know that there's a lot of people that support Stardew Valley and will have a say into any other farming sims that are trying to replicate what Stardew Valley has already done. A lot of people will make comparisons of Stardew Valley to other games, and yes, I can say I've done the exact same thing, but a lot of people need something to recognize a new game with, and so it's never meant to be seen as a bad thing to compare a game to Stardew Valley. People want a sense of familiarity when a new farming game comes into play, so then they can base their judgments off of that. But you have to be careful. You make it too similar to Stardew Valley, and the Stardew Valley community will be all over that game to let you know that this game is pretty much just a replicant of Stardew Valley. This has been done time and time again, and many games have seen a lot of pressure from the Stardew Valley community for that reason. Unfortunately, the farming genre for games is just too flooded now. Every day for the last 3 months, I have been trying to find a new farming game, something that sparks my interest, that might be like Stardew but has a new twist and turn to it. But alas, every new farming game that I've played this year of 2022 just reminds me of Stardew Valley too much and makes me think that these games don't want to have their own kind of personality. I'm not trying to throw these games under the bus because a lot of these are actually really good titles, but if you are going to make a new farming game, maybe separate yourself and create your new personality instead of just doing what Stardew Valley has done. It's a never-ending cycle. You find a new farming game, you start to learn the mechanics and everything about the game, you start to find out that this game is very similar to Stardew Valley, and then you start to lose interest because it's too similar to Stardew Valley, so why not just find a new game? Now your question might be, well, how do you make a new farming genre game any different? Stardew Valley is a farming game, and any farming game that wants to be a farming game is going to make something that is pretty much similar to Stardew Valley. And yes, it is a difficult question to answer, but that doesn't mean it's impossible to answer. Take Slime Rancher 2 for instance, that was only just recently released. It's a farming style of game. Instead of farming for crops, you're actually farming for plots, which is pretty much the poop of slimes, and you can sell these plots over at the slime market, and the market actually determines the price depending on how much of the plots you hand in. You hand in too many of one, and the ones you haven't handed in that much are actually sold for more. Slime Rancher 2 also has a really nice way to implement an adventure open world style game by putting down 𝓗𝓸𝓬𝓼s, which are just giant slimes, around the map, and by feeding them enough of their favorite food, they'll explode and provide a hidden secret for you. And the storyline is more different and even more intriguing than its first game, the first Slime Rancher. Even though the game is very simple because you're not looking at the quality of things and you're not having to discuss which farm animal is better than the next, it's all about creating a gaming experience that's more different and more enjoyable. Combining exactly what previous farming titles have already done and just kind of doing a little spin to it just makes it more tedious and becomes boring and repetitive over time. There haven't been too many farming titles that have been released that show something different or bring something new to the table. Whether you agree with that or not, it's not going to be easy to be making a new farming game in 2022 or even the next few years to come. The only way you can stand out nowadays is pretty much by being different. Incorporate different styles of games. It doesn't exactly have to just be a farming game. Maybe bring in other elements that you think are going to be interesting. There's very little variety when it comes to the farming genre of games, and those that have actually brought variety have seen success by providing something different and offering a better experience overall. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you next time. Take care.